Stroke by Manuel Sarate. Prequel. The gallery opening. The gallery was abuzz. A buzz of excitement filled the air, punctuated by the occasional clink of champagne glasses and bursts of laughter. Large paintings adorned the pristine white walls, their vibrant colors and bold strokes drawing the crowd closer for a better look. The gallery's floor-to-ceiling windows let in the fading light of the Austin, Texas evening, casting a warm glow over the well-dressed guests who mingled and admired the art. In the center of the room, a group of people gathered around a quiet, lean man with gray streaked hair and an intense gaze. Jose was a bit scared. No, not scared, he thought. I'm surprised. Standing amidst a crowd for the first time in years, he felt humble. They didn't forget. He looked up, caught her eye, and offered a faint, almost imperceptible smile. People in the room were drawn to him, not just because of his reputation, but because there was something enigmatic about the way he held himself. Hello, he began, his voice halting. Hi, this is intimidating. I had no idea. I didn't think anyone would show up. People laughed in response, their faces eager and encouraging. They all knew what had happened to him. Can everyone hear me? He asked, his eyes scanning the room. This whole day, it has been, keep it together, he thought. This whole day, and having you folks here tonight, it's been a long time since I've done a show, and I'm sure some of you thought I was dead. More laughter from the crowd, and I know you have questions. I would too. We'll get to them, but they asked if I would say a few words first. I'm not much of a talker. It's been a long time. Not always easy. Things that were simple, not so anymore. He paused, gathering his thoughts, his gaze distant. He could see their eyes encouraging him. He was starting to lose it. Then he saw her again, her almost imperceptible nod. Keep going, he thought. I'm glad all of you, he continued, gesturing to the canvases around the room. The paintings, they tell a story, not just mine. All of you too. That would be silly to come out or just to see my story. But that's not why they may be mine, but I think it's all of us. He looked straight at her. Your story. And even yours, sir, way in the back. Yes, you. I see you. A man yelled out, Hell yeah, it's my story, goddammit. The crowd cheered, and just like that, people started talking, looking around, taking in the swirls of color and the forms. Each piece seemed to evoke a different emotion, a different response from the crowd. Some people looked contemplative, others smiled. One woman stood transfixed by a painting of interwoven bodies that seemed to pulse with life. Her hand pressed against her chest, her emotions welling up inside her. A man nearby nodded appreciatively, a smile playing at his lips as he leaned closer to examine the intricate brushstrokes, appreciating the skill and passion. Definitely a lot of passion, the man thought. No wonder my wife monitored me to come. A young couple, holding hands, whispered softly to each other, pointing at different elements of the art, their faces lighting up with excitement and curiosity. An elderly gentleman, standing alone, wiped away a tear, introspection, and perhaps a touch of nostalgia. Jose watched them all. He could see, he could follow their gaze and nodded at them as if he understood their thoughts. Yes, well, it's different for everyone. Everyone sees something different, he said. But for me, these paintings, they represent redemption. My redemption of something lost and released and, yes, gained. His eyes darkened slightly. An unexpected turn in life. He smiled, then chuckled. He paused, looking around the gallery. Maybe that's why we are all here. Yes, for the unexpected turns of life. The crowd was quiet. A shared intimacy enveloped the room, a collective understanding. This was not about a new show at a gallery, they thought. It was not about paint on canvas. It was a testament to resilience, to an unyielding spirit who refused to be silenced. Jose, he could see it in their eyes now. The silent nods, the shared human experience of loss, the silent acknowledgement of struggles faced and overcome. Boy, are they wrong, he thought, a wry smile touching his lips. They actually think this is about me. No, this is about something. Something that still eluded him and maybe always would. But did it really matter? He looked back, up to the back of the crowd. He could see her, standing there, looking back at him. There was a flicker of a silent conversation that passed between the two of them. And for a moment, the noise of the gallery faded into the background. The laughter, the clinking glasses, the murmurs of admiration, all of it became a distant hum. Maybe it didn't matter that he couldn't define what this was all about. Maybe the mystery was the point. Faith. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. Jose took a deep breath and looked around. Enjoy the show, Jose said, his eyes meeting hers one last time before he turned and her. Elizabeth's alarm buzzed at 6 a.m., pulling her from the depths of sleep. She stretched, feeling the slight ache in her limbs, and swung her legs over the side of the bed. Her apartment, though modest, was a sanctuary filled with pieces of her life. Every corner, every surface, every item had been carefully chosen and meticulously placed. This space was her domain, the one area in her life where she exerted complete control. The bed was made with military precision, the sheets pulled tight and the pillows fluffed just right. A handmade quilt with squares of different fabrics representing various moments and memories lay neatly folded at the foot of the bed. Above the headboard, a series of framed black and white photographs captured moments of tranquility. A deserted beach at sunrise, a forest path bathed in morning mist, and a lone sailboat on a calm sea. The bedside table held a small lamp with a warm amber glow, a stack of books, and a notebook. The books were a mix of genre, from classic literature to contemporary novels, with a few non-fiction titles about art and psychology. Each book was carefully chosen, reflecting her diverse interests and the craving for knowledge that had been a constant throughout her life. The notebook was her journal, where she meticulously recorded her thoughts, dreams, and reflections, as she was doing now, finding solace in the act of writing. She liked to write. That reads good, she thought. The kitchen was small. No, scratch that. The kitchen was perfect. She scratched out the sentence and wrote in the new one and continued reading. The countertops were spotless, free from usual clutter, a collection of mismatched mugs hung from the books above the counter, each a souvenir from a different city or event. Where the fuck is the Paris cup? She asked herself. The scent of freshly brewed coffee filled the air as she prepared her morning cup, savoring the rich aroma. She ground her own beans, a ritual that she found both soothing and invigorating. Each one a souvenir from a different city or event, she read out loud. Her living room was an eclectic mix of styles, yet everything harmonized perfectly. A soft, well-worn couch draped in colorful quilt her mother had made was the focal point. The walls were adorned with artwork, a mix of her own paintings and pieces she had collected over the years. One wall was dedicated to her travels, with a world map pinned with tiny flags marking the places she had visited. A picture of her and her mother at the Grand Canyon held a place of honor, their smiles wide and eyes bright with adventure. It was not often that they traveled together anymore. I miss her, she thought. She could call her. No, she could call me. Don't think about it. Focus. The bookshelves lining one wall were crammed with novels, memoirs, and poetry collections. Each book bore the marks of being read and loved, dog-eared pages, highlighted passages, and the occasional note scribbled in the margins. Her favorite books, those she returned to time and time again, were displayed prominently. Titles by Virginia Woolf, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and Toni Morrison sat alongside works by contemporary authors. What the fuck happened to Sylvia Plath? Why didn't I put her in the list, she asked herself. Elizabeth's bathroom was a haven of simplicity and cleanliness. White tiles, a clawfoot bathtub, and a small... wait a minute. What the fuck happened to Sylvia? I know she was there before, but why had she taken it out? Oh, and there was a small window that let in just enough light to make the space feel open and airy. A collection of scented bath oils and lotions lined a small shelf, each one chosen for its calming properties. Ha! She thought to herself. Elizabeth's wardrobe was another reflection of her. Each item of clothing was carefully chosen, reflecting both the personal style and the demands of her job. Work clothes, tailored blouses, skirts, and trousers hung neatly alongside casual wear. Each item was organized by type and color, creating a visually pleasing and easy-to-navigate system. Elizabeth liked systems. Shoes were lined up at the bottom, each pair polished and ready for wear. Ready for work. Wait a minute. Ready for wear, ready for work. No, that does not read well at all. She scratched all that out. At the law office, she often found herself going above and beyond, not just to meet expectations, but to surpass them in ways that would earn her praise and recognition. She meticulously crafted her emails, double-checked. Wait a minute, what do you mean praise and recognition? What the? No, that's not true. Huh. She meticulously crafted her emails, double-checked every detail in her reports, and often stayed late to ensure that everything was perfect. Her colleagues admired her dedication. Damn right they do, she thought. During meetings, she would wait for the moment when her suggestions were acknowledged and praised. A compliment from her boss would light up her entire day, but the absence of one would leave her questioning her value and competency. She often volunteered for tasks and projects just not to be helpful, but to stay in the spotlight and feel indispensable. She enrolled in online courses, attended workshops, and read voraciously on topics ranging from art history to neuroscience. I'm not sure I'd like this, she thought to herself. Despite these efforts, she felt like she was missing something. The struggle was evident in her daily routine of scrutinizing her appearance in the mirror, adjusting her makeup, and trying on multiple outfits before feeling satisfied with how she looked. A simple, "Does this look good on me?" or "Do you think I did okay?" was more than casual questions. They were lifelines. Even her social media presence was carefully curated. Each post and photo designed to elicit likes and positive comments, which she would check obsessively. All right, I know I don't like this. Why would I have written this bullshit? How old is this entry? This was 3 years ago, she yelled out. After what's-his-name broke up with me. Ah! Elizabeth's intelligence and capability were undeniable. Yet she often felt like an imposter in her own life. That is bullshit. She questioned her achievements, attributing them to luck rather than her hard work and talent. I must have been drunk. Her journal was filled with entries dissecting her fears of inadequacy and her longing to feel truly confident in her abilities. Elizabeth took a deep breath. "I'm burning this shit after this," she muttered. "I do not have fears of inadequacy." Her need for external order was in many ways a coping mechanism for the internal chaos she battled daily. The meticulous organization of her apartment provided a stark contrast to the uncertainty and self-doubt that plagued her mind. It was a controlled environment where everything had its place, unlike the predictable, unpredictable world outside. Of course, she agreed. It's called meditation, Elizabeth. Her relationships were also affected by this inner turmoil. Elizabeth often found herself seeking partners who would provide constant reassurance and affirmation. Her many past relationships, no, there weren't that many. Were there? She thought as she counted past 20, were marked by a pattern of initial infatuations followed by a gradual realization of her neediness, which often led to tension and eventual breakups. I disagree, she thought. They were assholes. Her evening was a blend of routine and introspection. After a long day at the law office, she would return home, seeking solace in the familiarity of her surroundings. Well, they were assholes, she thought. She often spent her night curled up on the couch with a book, watching old movies, finding comfort in the stories of others. She would meticulously plan her next day, laying out her clothes, preparing her lunch, and writing in her journal. What was I thinking when I wrote this? Her journal was an outlet of her thoughts and feelings. She wrote daily, pouring her heart onto the pages, exploring her fears, dreams, and desires. Writing is a way for me to process my emotions, she thought, to make sense of the world and my place in it. This journal was supposed to be a confidant, holding her secrets and providing a safe space for her to explore her inner life. She paused for a moment, then wrote, "She was a complex, probably brilliant individual, and a deeply, deeply emotional and compassionate person. Life, don't fuck with me today," she said out loud. Him. Jose's thoughts were fragmented, much like how his body had become after no point looking back. His mind remained sharp, painfully aware of every weakness, every limitation that his body had imposed. He often found himself lost in memories of his past, where his hands moved effortlessly, bringing to life the images in his mind. But now those same hands betrayed him, shaking with the effort of holding a damn brush. His warehouse studio was vast and open. The high ceilings and large windows, once symbols of creative freedom, now seemed to mock him with their openness. The space was cluttered with unfinished canvases, discarded brushes, and paint-splattered floors. He rarely left the warehouse. Today was one of those rare days when he had to venture out. The city had changed in the last 20 years. The Austin skyline was a testament to the city's growth and ambition. Skyscrapers now dotted the horizon, their glass facades reflecting the relentless Texas sun. The once modest skyline now boasted landmarks of modern engineering, symbolizing the city's economic boom and its draw for tech companies and startups. Walking into the grocery store, Jose felt the familiar tightening in his chest. The automatic door swooshed open. Hello, Whole Foods. And he was greeted by the sterile brightness of the fluorescent lights. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the task ahead. His right leg dragged slightly, each step a conscious effort. The cart felt heavy under his left hand, a stark contrast to how effortlessly he once moved. Just need a few things, he thought, trying to keep his focus. The list in his pocket was a crumpled mess of paper, but he didn't need it. The items were etched into his mind. Milk, bread, egg, coffees, some veggies, just, the basics. He started in the produce section. The vibrant colors of fruits and vegetables, a sharp reminder of the vibrancy that seemed to leach out of his own life. He reached for a head of lettuce, his left hand steady but his right hand trembling as it brushed against the cart. He clenched his jaw, willing the tremor to stop. The lettuce made it into the cart, and he moved on, his eyes scanning the shelves with a mixture of determination and frustration. Focus on the task, he told himself, pushing the cart toward the dairy section. The shelves were lined with cartons of milk, and he paused, his eyes flickering over the options. Reaching for a carton, he felt the tremor start again, the familiar wave of anger and helplessness washing over him. He gripped the carton tightly, using his left hand to place it carefully in the cart. Each aisle felt like a gauntlet. The cereal aisle was a blur of colors and shapes, the boxes mocking him with their cheerful promises of energy and vitality. Grabbed a box of his usual brand, trying to ignore the curious looks from other shoppers. His next aisle was coffee. He hesitated, staring at the rows of different blends and roasts. He used to savor these moments, selecting a new flavor to try, but now it was just another task to be completed. He reached for his usual brand, the one he knew he could handle without too much trouble. His hand shook as he placed it in the cart, and he let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. The eggs were next, a challenge he dreaded after the last adventure. He carefully picked up a carton, his left hand cradling it as though it was precious cargo. His right hand hovered uselessly at his side, a grim reminder of his limitations. He felt eyes on him. He wanted to shout at them, but he bit his tongue, focusing instead on the task at hand. The checkout line was another trial. Place his items on the conveyor belt, his left hand steady, his right hand still. The cashier, a young woman with kind eyes, gave him a smile that felt both comforting and patronizing. He paid. The act of pulling out his wallet from his pocket, a gymnastic feat in itself, and handled the money, a careful dance, a coordination, an effort. As he wheeled the cart towards the exit, he felt a mix of relief and exhaustion. The automatic doors opened again, and he stepped out into the fresh air, his chest loosening slightly. The grocery store trip, something so mundane, had become a monumental task, a reminder what he had lost and what he still fought to reclaim. Back at his place, He unpacked the groceries, each item finding its place with the same concentration he applied to everything. The milk went into the fridge, the bread on the counter, the eggs in their designated spot. It was a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. He sat down, his body aching from the effort, and closed his eyes. His mind was sharp, dissecting every moment, every struggle, every triumph. He thought about the days when his hand moved with grace and precision, without unthought of ease. With unthought of ease. He remembered the gallery openings, the accolades, the sense of accomplishment, and yes, the women. He remembered the women. Oh, Lord. But the warehouse was silent now. His art supplies, meticulously organized, somewhat, well, maybe not very organized, but at least he knew where they were. Small beacon of hope. A reminder that he still had the capacity to create, even if it was not at the level he once did. Jose's life had become a series of contradictions. A sharp mind trapped in a faltering body. A once vibrant artist now isolated. The event had taken much. "I hate this city," he muttered.